right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up live show, presented, as always, by our friends at High Noon. Solly here, joined by my guy, DJ Pie. Hello, Pie Man.
Greetings, guys. Happy Tour Championship. The season is over, but, the takes shall remain. Great to be with you guys.
TC is here. Hello, TC.
Hello. God, what a season it was. What a Tour Championship it was. Cody's got the white mesh background for us here in the live show to match the mesh that they used at East Lake. Love it. I love it.
Well, I salute both of you, all three of us, really, for having our microphones up and working here as we bring the season to a close. I want to give a shout out to the End Zone Pack. The High Noon End Zone Pack is here, along with your favorite fall flavors, pear and cranberry. Both of those flavors are fantastic, if I may add. And year-round classics, grapefruit and black cherry. So whether you're tailgating in the lot or golfing on the green, get out and enjoy the crisp fall air with even crisper drinks. The High Noon End Zone Pack is only here for a limited time. Get it while you can. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find it near you. High Noon, suns up.
Winners. I need you out at Everbank this year, just in the crushing end zone packs up in the pools.
I love the cranberry. Cranberry is
that's my great block for you.
Cranberry is definitely top 5 for me. Winners from around the world. Scotty Scheffler wins the Tour Championship. Nicholas Norgard wins the British Masters. Great Britain and Ireland win the Curtis Cup at Sunningdale. As we go to record, LPGA Tour still in a delay. A few holes left in that one. Hayren Yu is winning that one, tied with Jin Young Ko, with a couple chasers in there as well. We'll maybe get to that if it does wrap up while we're on the air. At the Tour Championship, of course, Scotty Scheffler, starting with a 2-shot lead, promptly shoots 65, 66, 66 on the brand new East Lake greens to get the week started. Colin Morikawa shot 66, 63, 67 to get within 5 for the final round. Scotty's lead grew to 7 at one point, but it was just 4 when they got to the 8th hole. The tees were moved up. Scotty drove it in the greenside bunker and proceeded to hit a cold shank on his bunker shot and make bogey. Morikawa made birdie, and the lead was just 2. Scotty collapsed from there on out. No, he, of course, stuffed a 4-iron from 236 yards to just a few feet, made birdie, then birdied 10, and then birdied 11. That's it.
Hole on 9, like the tee shot on 9. I'm just like, okay, cool. This thing's over again.
I think he just did that on purpose just to feel something, just to feel alive. Stretched. The lead was 5, just 3 holes later. It was pretty routine from there. He made eagle on the 14th hole, made pars the rest of the way, shoots 67, as did Morikawa, which is what I told you in the FanDuel Sports pick on Sunday morning, that they would both shoot 67 or better. Another hit. Scotty wins by 4. DJ, what's your reaction to Scotty putting the exclamation point on the season?
Exclamation point. I mean, I think you took the words out of my mouth there. It's there's a lot of hot air about this tournament, which I'm sure we will add to over the course of the next hour. But I think if you really pressed, the Tour Championship kind of has 2 objectives. I think the one is to be a giant ATM for the best players in the world and redistribute a bunch of corporate cash to these guys that they can't really just accomplish checks for,
if I may say.
Check. And then, a second kind of byproduct is like, I hope the best player wins. Like, that would be great too, if we could reward the best player over the course of the season with a big giant check. And that's what they did today. So it doesn't always go that way. There's been years where the guy who kind of comes out of nowhere at the Tour Championship wins. There's been, years where it's been wildly boring. And of course, the guy who was always going to win wins. And obviously this felt much more like that, but I don't think there's a more deserving player to, drive away in the Brinks truck than Scotty Scheffler. And that's what we saw. So it was a very exciting golf tournament, TC, for about 6 minutes there, I think, after the shank and before that 4-iron into number 9. But outside of that, Scotty just kind of did what he did all year, which is just kind of slowly suffocate these golf tournaments by driving it really long, really straight, and hitting his irons great and being a sneaky good putter.
Amen. And he made He made $62 million. Do you know how much Tiger made on course on the PGA Tour in his career?
Was it like 180 or
120,
something?
I think.
120, $999,166. And
That
I'm not
does
sure if that
count-
counts
That
FedEx.
doesn't count
Cup.
FedEx, and this won't count
So-
either. Like this 25 won't count
29.
towards on course on
Okay.
on.
But even then, I mean, even then, it's. I think Jay's certainly bribed these guys of like, hey, it's kind of like the old adage of like, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago with the presidential stuff?
Look at the economy, man. Yeah,
better
are you sweating when you go to the gas pump these days? I don't think so. Adam Hadwin, who made $4 million this year.
Did you say 29 million for this week? Do they don't
Sorry,
pay an extra
29 on course. Sorry, 29. I had it
Okay.
back. 29 on course this year. 25 for FedEx Cup bonus.
got plus Comcast plus pit
20
money
$29 million on course this year.
prior to getting the $25 million.
Yeah.
He won. I saw this stat before, and it's probably up even higher. I don't know how they count it for the FedEx Cup. He'd won over 50% of the money that he possibly could win this year. Like if he'd
It's
seen
one
up
of the
and
best
won
stats out there.
and won every single event, he would obviously won 100% of the possible money. He won. He was like 51.9% going into this week of possible money he could have made. A few more things just to
They
like.
should get Dyson vacuums to sponsor that, like or like Hoover. Like who's hoovering up the most money here?
I like that.
He switched to the mallet just 15 starts ago and won 8 times after that. His worst, so in all the events that he had positive strokes gained post switching to the mallet, he finished. His worst finish was 4th, and his second worst finish was 2nd place, and he won 8 other times. It's one of the most completely ridiculous runs of golf we've ever seen. It becomes incredibly routine to watch. By the end of it, none of it feels like a surprise. He won the Arnold Palmer, he won the Players, he won the Masters, he won the RBC, he won the Memorial, he won a gold medal, and he won the Tour Championship.
And he got arrested.
Yeah.
What is it? 4 out of 6 of the signature events he won. He won the Players, won the Olympics. I mean, it's just like it's a joke, man. It's a joke. And I on the money front, real quick, 2 things. One, the tweet that Justin Ray sent out was spectacular. I think once you add all the bonuses and everything, he made almost like 830 grand per round this year on the PGA Tour that he played, which is again, we're not very far removed from winners on the PGA Tour taking home checks worth about 800 grand.
Or the leader, like the money leader for the whole year, making like 1.8 million.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is my brain has still not caught up to. I'm on this show every week talking about money, talking about changes in the pro game, and I still haven't like connected those 2 synapses in my brain where I'm still thinking about like, oh yeah, Luke Donald won the money list. What did he win? Like 3.8 million dollars. What a season, man! Crazy. There were 39 guys on tour this year that made more than $4 million
Prior to this week, prior to the FedEx.
no,
FedEx
starting.
Cup.
Well, not that doesn't include any bonus money. That's
what I'm saying.
Just on course after the last putt drops at the Tour Championship. Adam Hadwin, number 39, made $4.03 million. That's wild, man.
Colin Morikawa made 20 million this year without winning a tournament.
Corey Connors, number 41, $3.8 million.
Guys, it's not about the money, okay? We're about legacy, not leverage. It's not about the money. Fans are tired of listening to us talk about the money. Okay.
Crazy.
Scotty this week was, of course, 1st in strokes gained off the tee, 3rd in strokes gained approach, 3rd in putting this week. That seems disrespectful. Like that, you're not supposed to be like one of the best putters, right? I mean, he was actually lost a lot of strokes lost a stroke around the green on average per round this week or in total. That's I think Shank might have had something to do with that one as well. But completely ridiculous display golf. Would have been. We'll get into some format stuff. He was 2nd in the actual tournament this week, the 4-round tournament this week. He would have finished 2nd, a shot behind Morikawa, I believe. I don't know if we have a final leaderboard for that. I couldn't figure out the best website to go find that one from. But incredible golf on top of an incredible season, and like honestly, like. He kind of plays for somebody that has all the money, plays a little nervy in this tournament every year of when he's had several chances to win FedEx Cups. Like this is the only thing that he hasn't been able to close out pretty much when he gets into a really good spot in his career, but finally gets it done. And it took him a little while to let out some emotions, but finally, as he was like walking into the clubhouse, let out one decent sized scream. I think he's probably just exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we've been talking about it all year. I guess it's hard to kind of drum up even more. I mean, what was your guys' favorite victory? What was the one that's going to stick with you the most, you think?
non-Masters division, right? I think we're is that fair to say?
Which even honestly, like second Masters, I feel like it's.
Yeah.
I go to the Players, man.
Yeah,
gonna say
like
Players.
for sure.
And that almost is going to stick with me more than the Masters did this year. That final round 63 was like, I mean, it was unbelievable.
The way he won the Masters and the gold medal were both just like, man, that it's just a different. It's for whatever reason it hits a little different when you come from behind and run people down and sprint through the finish. Like some of his, he's not the most when he's got a big ass lead and he goes and wins. He's not the most exciting player to watch in that regard. But when he's chasing, it does get legitimately excited, and we had several of those moments this year too. He won a lot of different ways.
Do we think he like now that the Tour Championship money is like the purse for that tournament? Do we think the players get the 10%, or the caddies get the 10%? Like did Teddy get the 10%?
It's been a thing of contention between a fair amount of them in the past of like not settling it properly, not agreeing on it, not talking about it. But just speculating here, I would guess caddies are it's a pretty straight up thing now at this point of like if you win the FedEx Cup, you get your 10%. So I think you know,
Ted had a big year.
I think
He's one of
Ted
those guys
Scott
in that 4 million range.
I mean, so let's say so we're putting Scotty's total at what, 61 for the year?
62 million, over 62 million.
62. So that
Granted, Ted's not getting like, so I'm not sure what you do with the Comcast business
right
top 10 money, and then obviously he's not getting 10%,
right?
Yes,
okay.
it does.
But
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does because it was 25. So, and then also like he's not getting 10% of non-wins, right? So some of that money that he's making. So it's kind of tough to calculate, but
there weren't that many non-wins.
I mean, even if we're putting him at 5, that puts him at like number 20, 21 on the PGA Tour money list this year. On the most cartoonish PGA Tour money list of all time, Ted Scott's probably like he's like top 25. It's wild.
I mean,
made more money than Victor Hovland this year.
Can Ted Scott buy out Yasser? Is that the next move? Does Teddy need to sit down with Yasser and just come up with iron out a deal or something?
I don't know. He might. Man, head spinning stuff.
Well, we're spending a lot of time. We're gonna get to all of this tournament and everything that is around it, and it's like it's worth spending some time on the ridiculousness of all this when we get to like the dud that this whole thing was. Which like, we'll go. I'll let TC go down the leaderboard a little bit. We'll call it some other performances here and whatnot, but obviously we are going to talk about maybe potentially the thought that this event could improve or the championship could be decided in a different way. But I know that's pretty out there and left of field.
No way. So, there's no way this tournament could possibly improve, Sully. Yeah. And we'll listen to our fans and everything, but we wouldn't actually change anything. Okay.
Fed forward approach. Morikawa. It feels a little funky. I don't know. This is where I'm so back and forth on this whole setup of like, are we supposed to just print off who should have finished second? Or are we supposed to be like really impressed with the late season run that Colin Morikawa had to be second place in the FedEx Cup this year, right? Because if we, just printed it off, had the data boys run the simulation, Xander would have finished second. I know you would have loved that, TC, but the eye test wins out and Colin Morikawa finished the second in the FedEx Cup.
Morikawa had a great year, though. Also, I mean, right? I mean, that's. I know that's kind of what you're getting at, but I think since the Masters,
he had a very good year. I don't think you can call it a great year without winning.
Yeah, fair. A better year than it probably feels, I guess, is more.
Yeah, or than the previous year. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of this is, some of this is aided by limited fields and, smaller fields and that kind of stuff. But since the Masters hadn't finished, his worst finish was last week, T28. Granted, that's only a 50-man field, but a top 25 every other start since the Masters. Since inside of that is like it was a lot different than last year, and a lot of those miscuts and especially miscuts and big stages that we saw last year.
It's funny because Morikawa has actually improved like his level. Like he has slowly eked up in strokes game while giving some shots back and approach. Like his iron play has not been the ridiculous level that it was to start his career, but he's gotten a lot better around the greens. He's gotten better at putting. And it's just wild how people kind of talk about him now in terms of like he's leveled up, but he doesn't have the peak weeks nearly to the same extent he did when he came out and was winning a bunch, won 2 major championships. But he's kind of turned into a mini fee now of playing really, really good golf without collecting trophies for just a short period of time there, because we all know Big Tone won a bunch on the back end of that. But
of course,
you're on mute, TC. I see you ready to rebut.
I had muted myself. I was sneezing. I would say a Lil Tone, if you will.
Yeah. Took the words out of my mouth.
That would have hit way better if you didn't have yourself on mute. But if you're watching this
my window
on YouTube, we have the adjusted score or the true score of the tournament. It would have been Morikawa at 22 under, Sahith 21, Scotty at 20, Russell Henley shot 17 under, Adam Scott 16 under, Sungjae 15, JT shot 14 under. I'm not going to go all the way down that, but
there's a lot of ifs there, right? I mean, if it was no starting strokes and if Sahith did get that 2-shot penalty, I mean, there's your winner.
Which, yes, if you missed any of that, Sahith on Saturday took a swing in the bunker. His ball landed on the upslope of the bunker, crawled up the bunker, and then kind of came back towards that impact mark. And it was a little bit of raised sand behind his ball. He's hovering his club over the ball, and on his backswing, he said he couldn't feel it, but it looked like he grazed some sand to his eye on his way back. He alerted a rules official. Got a chance to review it afterwards. They couldn't tell whether or not he hit it on the way back, but took the 2-shot penalty because that's what his intuition was telling him that he needed to do. Got a lot of circulation on that on the social media. Of course, finished 2 shots back of Colin Morikawa. Without that, he in theory would have tied Morikawa. They would have split. Both had won $10 million. Instead, Sahith only wins $7.5 million this week. But obviously, butterfly effect of who knows how the rest of the tournament really would have played out for Sahith if he doesn't take the 2-shot penalty.
Good on Sahith.
Of course,
he's
the GOAT.
Like, this is a very pro Sahith house. It was Murley's birthday this week. His father, and just Sahith pinning his ears back and on a course where you can kind of bomb it a little bit. Just love watching the guy play golf. I want to see more of it. I want to see he's on the President's Cup team, and I want to see him, winning multiple times a year and contending in majors. Golf's better when Sahith's around. I feel the same way about Spieth. Right, they're kind of birds of a feather. But
here,
props to him for doing the right thing. Even though it was just like, hey, I think this happened, and kind of raised his hand, and you can juxtapose that with other people in the game that have behaved differently when everybody saw something happen, and they
in a bunker,
in a bunker, embedded ball, palm tree, all sorts of stuff. So
allegedly,
it's a true who could say, right?
Do either of you want to apologize for any Sahith takes? No. You guys don't want to apologize for saying he stinks or might stink?
No,
I say Spieth.
He had a good week. Yeah.
That's like the whole deal.
Yeah, all my favorite players stink.
It's like his entire brand.
Yeah. Exactly. I would be very careful with the smarminess on that one, Sally. I'll remember that next time we see him snap hook some tee shot into the Everglades or something.
That was like the whole thing with Spieth of like he might be like he's a generational talent, and he also stinks at the same time.
The two best bad players in the history of the world. Also, if any of these tour dads had any sense of humor, I think they would start playing like the LIV card. Of course you're going to wish Murley a happy birthday, but you're not going to wish me a happy birthday. I think it was my dad's birthday yesterday. The tour tweeted 0 times about it.
Adam Long's dad's a pilot for American Airlines.
So
why aren't we wishing him a happy National Pilots Day?
JT's dad out there, wish him, I don't know when his birthday is. Maybe give him a little love.
They're not the needle.
Certainly out there.
Murley's the needle. All right, come on. What? This isn't even up for debate. All right. It's like why they keep showing all of Tiger's shots, man. I don't get it. They don't show any of my shots. I'm 15 shots off the lead. Russell Henley chipped in on 18 for eagle to get to 19 under par. He stole some money out of Adam Scott and Xander Schauffele's pockets. I think those guys are doing just fine. But another really freaking good season for Russell Henley, a guy that nobody really ever talks about, but just continues. Truly, maybe the only memorable moment he had all season long, and he finishes 4th in the FedEx Cup. It's remarkable how consistent that guy is, and probably talking about him as a President's Cup player here in a couple of days, I would have to imagine.
I think he's got to be a shoe-in, right?
I would think
so. Yeah, but he's been kind of this same guy in the past, and he's never really even been listed on top snubs for not making these teams, right? It's not like it's been a drastic leap for him. He's always kind of been this dude, and I don't know why, myself included, why we don't talk about this guy more often. But
to be fair to Henley too, he finished T7 at the U.S. Open, solo 5th at the Open Championship, and then a couple other I think solo 4th or solo 5ths throughout. Early on, played well in Florida.
I'm not downplaying how well he played. I'm just saying it
Oh,
ends up being not memorable. Like it's incredible golf. Like he is remarkably consistent. I would have to skip past his name when looking at all the Ryder Cup stuff last year of like, yeah, I mean, obviously his strokes gain's incredible, but I don't really know why, but I'm throwing out Henley. Like they're obviously not going to pick him, but I don't know if they can avoid it this go around because there's the bottom has kind of fallen off the U.S. team, and it's really, really tough to go past his name. He was 7th or 8th in the standings, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like picking who's the guy from the Celtics that they picked for the team this year on the USA basketball, Derek White.
Yeah.
Like all right, like you pick a guy that all right, I think anybody can probably play with Russell Henley, right? And he hits his irons extremely well, and I don't know, he seems like a pretty malleable character.
I feel like maybe this puts it in perspective. Looking at his like career here, he's never finished outside the top 100 in the FedEx Cup in his entire career, which now this would be like the 12th time, I think. That streak spans like the start of the wraparound season and the end of the wraparound season. Like that entire concept came and went, and he's still, he's still never finished outside the top 100. Yeah, it's
whole deal.
He's kind of done it all. Whatever you want to put in front of him. And again, going back to some of those, just astronomical numbers. I mean, going back to, 2016-17, he made $3.4 million and finished 13th in the FedEx Cup, which I think I'd have to look now what that would be, but
probably about 50th.
Probably.
Thank you, Phil.
It's crazy. Phil was right. Shane Lowry, 6.1. Crazy.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Titleist and the all-new Titleist GT driver. Guys, getting some reports, maybe even seeing some data coming in of DJ's recent gains in strokes gain off the tee with his GT3 9-degree model. Do you want to expand on any of this, DJ?
So here's where I'm going to take this, Solly. I wrote about this in our gin and tonic column, I think last week. Started doing some light stuff with the stack system, doing a little bit of speed training. And does this sound like an ad for the stack system? Maybe. But where I'm actually going with this is the reason I feel comfortable doing that is because of this driver. Like, I think what the stack is kind of like laid bare for me is how terrified I have been to swing the driver hard, like swing the driver like the way a driver's supposed to be swung. We've talked about this before, Solly, where it's like we hit our irons somewhat comparable distances and you hit it 100 yards past me off the tee sometimes. I'm like, all right, I got to start closing the gap on this. And being able to actually like go after it and know that there's some forgiveness there, know that you're going to pick up some swing speed, know that you're going to be like just comfortable taking a harder pass at the golf ball has been a true game changer. That's been the biggest difference for me. And so, yeah, I was out at the range today. Seeing some shocking carry numbers here. If you're not watching, but yeah, we're just cruising. These are cruising speeds. So we're not going hard at this. And I got a lesson too.
We'll talk about some of that, but yeah,
the driver has become fun to hit again, which is a
what an endorsement.
It's a world of difference.
Titleist is, of course, the most played driver on the PGA Tour and has been for what is now 6 straight seasons. Head to Titleist.com to learn more about GT and schedule a fitting near you. Let's talk a little about the Reno, and then let's talk about how our annual, both before Tour Championship and after Tour Championship, of trying to fix the end of the FedEx Cup season. Obviously, a brand new golf course, entirely different look to East Lake. Andrew Green, redo. TC, what's your reaction to what we saw out of it this week?
Yeah, I was really, really excited. I think Andrew Green did an exceptional job. I was excited when I fired up the Creator Classic. I thought the 17th hole in particular used to be one of the more bland holes. I think they've made that. I think if they actually moved the tee up a little bit more and kind of, created a little bit more risk reward there. I think 8 could be improved a little bit. It feels like you can just kind of bang it into that bunker, although Scotty kind of disproved that, I guess. But I think overall it's still, he did the best. Like, I would give him an A-. I don't think there's quite enough slope on some of the greens, like a lot of flat putts out there. But I would give him probably an A- for what he did. I think 2 things can be true. I think I think it's still a bad venue. I think it's still like, it's lipstick on a pig. It's not an interesting routing. I think it's insulting to Bob Jones and to call this and Donald Ross to call this like, this exceptional historic golf course, which I don't know. It just feels like revisionist history and Jay can talk about the East Lake Miracle and all that. Like that's going to be true whether or not this tournament's there or not. Like all the houses in the neighborhood are like $1 million plus now. It's very much like, hey, you guys did a good thing with East Lake, Tom Cousins, Tim Fincham, first tee, all that stuff. Let's move the product forward now and get it out of there, because I think it's an exceptionally bland club and golf course in place. So, and that's coming from an Atlanta native.
Yeah. I wonder if we would feel. I agree with look. I have no specific bones to pick. I kind of agree with what you've said there. I would like a little bit more, be a little more penal in some spots of like, all right, dude, if you're missing in this bunker, like make somebody actually pay here, which it wasn't really quite fully on display. But I couldn't draw up anything else much better in terms of the green contouring, the shapes and everything. Maybe a little too easy to putt from off the greens and whatnot, but really firm greens like that added a layer of intrigue. But it just comes down to like, dude, I don't know how you get around the fact that you're going to play this in August and September, and it's going to be like this spongy, thick ass Bermuda, and the ball's going to find the bottom in the rough, and it would just be like a way more interesting course, probably in like late October or November with a little bit more elements in there, but that's just the nature of the beast with a lot of things, and we're going to get ready to talk about here in a little bit. But I'm glad they did what they did. I was hoping it would have a bigger impact on my viewing and the enjoyment of the tournament than it did. Part of that might just be exhaustion at this point in the season and kind of just being ready for the season to be over with, which not the strongest endorsement for a golf season, if that's the case, how I feel at the finale.
Yeah, I totally want to separate out what I said with like listen, like that's how I feel about East Lake still, but I think it's like 300% better than it was prior. And it seems like they put on a great tournament. Everybody in Atlanta is excited about it. I'm just talking about how it relates, like it's like micro success versus macro success. And this thing doesn't really seem to move the needle outside of the people who attended in Atlanta and the corporate sponsors.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add on what you guys are saying, other than it's a weird thing to me. And I know we keep kind of false starting here into this conversation, but it's like, it's a weird thing to me that to build the entire PGA Tour business model around this giant cash redistribution for the best players in the world, right? Which again is totally okay. That's what the FedEx Cup is we're trying to give a shitload of money away at the end of the season to the best players that for tax reasons, we can't just write them a check for. And I think what does not make any sense to me and will never make sense to me is this idea that you're going to do that and you're going to make this the cherry on the sundae and the thing that everything is leading to. And it's probably the 20th most memorable course on the PGA Tour. Like I've probably been there. I've probably walked East Lake 30 times and I struggle to remember half the holes still. And that's where I'm with you guys. And I'm like, man, invest. It's awesome that they're investing in it. Clearly, like blowing up your course and totally redoing it is no small thing at all. And it seems like Andrew Green did an awesome job. And watching it on TV, I was like, man, that looks like somewhere I'd want to play. Like for the first time in a decade, I was like, that actually looks really fun. But it's not a 1 or a 0, right? Where it's like that's just because you cleared that bar doesn't mean it would be better than going to Pebble Beach in September. Right. Like that's where I think we were talking about it on Slack a lot today, where I think this tournament is like all of it is like, like each individual component is like technically passable, right? Like it's like technically fine. And like the sponsors are
through the roof,
technically happy, and the fans like technically like it, and the course is technically better than it was. But I'm like, there's no reason why you can't like still strive for something better than that if that's supposed to be your Super Bowl. And if the PGA Tour is fine with this being what it is and being kind of everybody's exhausted and we're just pushing the bobsled across the finish line at the end of the year, and hopefully the best player takes home a shitload of money, like if they're cool with that, then bravo. Like it seems like it's a well-run tournament, like you said, and people show out for it, and it does fine. But like, man, I don't know, I keep coming back to the tour and Jay and all these press conferences and SSG and all of this, just like trying to clearly build towards being a bigger entertainment product, and having everybody leave the Super Bowl and like, look at the fucking comments today. Just be like, yeah, that sucked. I didn't watch any of it. That was miserable. I'm so bored. Like I can't square those two things in my head without thinking that it is just the PGA Tour trying to force feed history and just like treating people like they're stupid. And if we just keep doing it, like people will eventually come around on this thing.
No, but what you don't understand is how much money we're bringing in still.
Yeah.
Like that's always what it comes down to.
Right.
Like it just
Coca-Cola is an Atlanta company.
Yeah,
Poosh
I heard
told me
Poosh just texted me that.
let's get this in now. I mean, we're going to go a lot of different ways here, but I wanted to do this. I'm kind of picturing this as, you're going to have to describe this in 2 sentences. We're going to have you fix the playoffs or the Tour Championship, however you want to call it, only in 2 sentences. You can't say match play. That's not allowed. And I want this to be like within a relatively like simple box, right? I want this to be in terms of like something that's realistic, right? You can't be, we're going to go play at Abandon. We're going to play at Pine Valley, right? You guys know the deal on like what's a realistic suggestion here. So DJ, I'm going to throw it to you. You got 2 sentences to fix this product, whatever it is. Give it to me. We'll talk about our options in the back end, but I need you to summarize in 2 sentences.
The big caveat was you're not allowed to say the words match play.
Correct.
Is that correct still?
Yeah.
In that case, I only need 1 sentence.
Okay.
Move it to Pebble Beach. Like truly, that is like Pebble
Real
Beach.
quick, from a realistic perspective, from a tax perspective, can you go move the big money? Like, hey, we're trying to distribute $100 million here. Do they want to do that in California?
Georgia has Georgia has a state income tax, right?
6%,
4%.
Yeah.
5.49%.
I feel like there's some loophole there where the FedEx Cup season-long bonus doesn't have to be distributed through California or something, though, right? Like I'm sure you can get around that.
Yeah.
Well, you would probably just reclassify it as like, hey, this is for your season, not for this. But then
this is technically coming from
to get their claws into
100 PGA Tour Boulevard.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. I mean, Pebble Beach. I said this like back when we were at Pebble Beach, is that golf course is more famous than any of the players in this field by far. That is a place where you tune in to watch the golf course. And even if it turns into a stinker, you don't care because you still want to watch them play 17 and 18. I feel like it would be in prime time. It would be, the weather would be money. I just feel like there is the fact that in 2024, we're going to Pebble Beach in February and Atlanta in August is like, that kind of says it all to me, of just like, yeah, this is just a bunch of barnacles and duct tape left over from fucking 60 years of of like this dripping plumbing system. And it's just like, blow it the fuck up and be serious for 5 minutes here. Like, what are we doing, man?
You had a great analogy earlier. You said it's like, what did you say? It's like hosting the Top Chef season finale at the Capitol Grill.
Yeah.
So, and it's like doing brunch, not even doing dinner. Like, we're gonna have it the wrong time of the day or the wrong time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, food's great. It's fine. Like, technically, I'm sure corporate partners would be great. You can get a bunch of
restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. You get a bunch of I don't know. It just, I think where I come back to like the tour force feeding stuff is, so let's take another example of the Players Championship, because I think the tour has, I honestly think that's like a successful example of the tour force feeding it, right? Where even since we started doing this podcast, or you guys even before me starting to do this podcast, the profile of the players has raised like pretty astronomically, I think. And that's just by doing the same thing over and over and leaning into what the identity is, which is the golf course. The used to be the best field, but
it's like pre-live. You were right, but yeah.
But even still, it's like, I mean, go back to what I just said. Scotty Scheffler just had a historic season. What do I remember most about it, honestly, is him coming down the stretch playing 15, 16, 17, 18, and shooting 63 at TPC Sawgrass. Like, that was awesome. And it just feels like they're trying to run the same playbook with a deeply forgettable golf course. Right. And that's where it's like, no matter what happens at Sawgrass, like I remember the Webb Simpson year or the Jason Day year, or, wherever, when it's like, oh my God, this thing is such a fucking snooze. At least they still got to play 16, 17, 18. Like, at least that's coming up. Like, who knows? And at Eastlake, it's, again, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what any of these holes are. I know there's the Island Green. I know there's the par 5. I know, like you said, 17 technically got better, but it's like, if you're going to make this a serious championship, like, golf is about golf courses. Go to a serious golf course that has real history. Don't just be like, oh, this year the messaging is history, which is what it seems like they did today. And I feel bad for NBC and Tarico and all those guys, because like it seemed like they almost had to pivot this year into just like, you know, we haven't really mentioned it over the last 15 years, but this plays super historic. This plays a huge deal in the game of golf. Huge deal. And it's like, dude, I'm just not buying it, guys. Dude, I'm sorry.
I wish you guys were over. My brother-in-law was here this weekend, and I flipped it on Friday, and we're just kind of watching the golf, and he just kept slowly asking questions about the Tour Championship. And it was kind of like he was kind of afraid, like just tiptoeing around it, of like, like building up to it, like almost kind of like so this is like the season end. This is the championship right here, and just like kind of like building towards like, shouldn't this like be a way bigger
deal?
Supposed
to be a BD.
Yeah, it's kind of like, no. Let me explain it to you here. And like he started with a 10-shot lead or a 2-shot lead. Blah blah. He's like, oh really? Huh? That's interesting. Anyways, TC, what is your 2 sentences or less? Can't say match play. How do you fix the championship?
So I was just like straight up, I was just gonna say like, stop calling it the playoffs. That sentence, and then move the venue around. But then this guy on Twitter reached out with a DM with this sick idea. Okay. And it's not quite Mulligans, but you know, I'm just gonna do a run-on sentence here. Okay.
No, this I was gonna threaten to mute you after you went past 2 sentences here.
Well, that was my idea, but this is his idea. Okay.
Okay.
So,
well, I didn't ask for that yet.
Basically, like Scotty can play. Like you let Scotty play from like the forward tees. They start on the same score, but Scotty gets to play from like a set of tees up or 2 sets of tees up, and then the guys that play like it's that like we're on that level anyway. It's that unserious. We might as well like get something for it and make it a thought exercise or a, you know, a fun application of like, all right, like, you know, all these guys are playing the 9th hole, the par 3 at 235 yards. Scotty's playing at 187 today. Like that's crazy, man.
I took this even more literally than maybe either of you did, in terms of like what I truly think is possible for them to change, right? Like DJ, what I love at the Tour Championship went to Pebble Beach, of course, like that makes perfect sense. Do I think we're like do I think that's pending? No.
Please tell me why that is like putting a man on Mars. Why is that?
I don't think so.
They've reinvented everything over the last 3 years. Why can't they like? Oh no, our hands are tied. We couldn't.
We already go to that golf course.
Not go to Memphis.
Sometimes twice in 1 year, but we just couldn't possibly go there when the weather's perfect.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't see that as a possible solution here, right? We're on the same page with this one, okay?
And things are bleaker than I.
They're very bleak. They're very bleak. But within the bleakness, starting my 2 sentences here: 2 tournaments at once. Stroke play, normal tournament, and the staggered scoring to solve the FedEx Cup, right? I mean, I get the staggered scoring was supposed to solve the confusion around who wins the FedEx Cup, but like, I don't see why you can't have both of them going at the same time. Like it would have been a great finish to the golf tournament today, and almost like who wins the FedEx Cup becomes secondary a little bit, but like you're doubling your chance of something exciting happening here. This has been the worst iteration of this tournament, right? So like they were kind of waiting for one of these stinkers to happen. Like at least
wasn't that already the deal? Like, didn't
but
they
it was,
already
but it was
do that?
points
It was
confusing.
But
that was confusing. The points part was confusing, right? At least you're like, now you have 2 leaderboards that are very easy to understand. Like, all right, the season long would have been settled.
The strokes are still arbitrary, though.
It is, but like giveaway, that's the money giveaway. People care about. If you're going to insist on doing a 72-hole stroke play tournament, like do that at least. Right? Don't like do a 72-hole stroke play tournament with like less chance of it being exciting at the end. Like that's the one thing we kind of live for out of this format, is like usually the tournaments are pretty exciting at the end.
I cannot tell you how much I didn't want to ride with TC's Scotty play the forward tees idea, but that's how much I don't need another leaderboard at this tournament.
That's better than this. Like, do you think so? I ran a quick informal poll on Twitter. 84% of people said this format was not working for them, right? Common conclusion from that would be like, hey, we should probably revisit a different formula with this. Now, are they going to move off 4 rounds of stroke play? Like they've made it abundantly clear that they're not going to do match play, right? Which I think anybody out there would agree would be a better way to solve the championship, right? So, like,
all right, let me present this idea. If you'll lift your match play embargo for 1 second here. Again, I'm going to go back to the core of this thing, which is we just need to redistribute some cash, right? The fans are never going to find that exciting. We've proven that over and over and over. So if I think Scotty's right to get pissed off at like, man, I clearly had the best season here. What are we doing? Please just like give me the cash. Why don't we just do
Pause on that? He got $8 million for that, for the Comcast.
Exactly. I'm glad you
So
said
that's
that.
where DJ's going. Yeah.
Yes. Flip those two. Take all
Sure.
this FedEx Cup money, all the $100 million we just gave out for the quote unquote playoffs, make that the season long race, right? And at the Wyndham, maybe there's a chance for, oh man, these guys are actually close, 1 and 2, and maybe that makes Scotty go play, or Xander, or, Wyndham Clark or whoever go play the Wyndham to I tripped myself up saying Wyndham there twice. I thought I was having a stroke. Maybe that makes him go play like that golf tournament in order to move up his ranking. And then whoever is number 1 in the standings after that gets the 25 million and so on. It waterfalls down. Then you take the $40 million, which again, you think most golf fans realize they're giving out $40 million just for whoever's like the top of this points list at the end of the regular season. Take that and just put that into your like fuck around and have fun in the playoffs fund. I think what you could do is you take, you call it the top 128 guys make the playoffs. They go into a 1 to 128 bracket. I think you lift the BMW Championship out because I think that is the most serious of the playoff events. Like that is an actual golf tournament that goes to actual golf
signature
courses.
event.
Make that a signature event elsewhere in the maybe that's the last signature event before the playoffs or whatever. And then you have, honestly, even if you want to keep it at Memphis and East Lake, which I don't think you should, but even if you do, those are your 2 sites for this giant match play bracket. Now, Solly, what you're going to say is they don't like that for TV. There's too much dead time. This is where I'm going to lend an olive branch to all of my homies at the Creator Classic. If this is the kind of stuff that you want to do, you want to get these people out on the golf course, you want to get new audiences into the game, put those guys out there for a whole separate fucking golf tournament. I don't care. Like, put them out. If Scotty and Xander are in the final of the golf tournament,
Do the American Century Championship at
Do
the
it.
Tour Championship. Yeah.
Put all the YouTubers out there in the morning. Let the people in the corporate boxes watch them. Get more golfers out on the course. Get some celebrities. The Ryder Cup does the Celebrity Ryder Cup on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever. And they've got Michael Phelps and whoever out there. Like, get stuff like that going on away from the golf tournament, and then you can actually do the real PGA Tour event the way you want to do it. And I think that would be that's my case. I thought about that long and hard today. I think you build all the upside into the regular season, you reflect that properly, and you reward those people properly, and then you have a true playoff with a big giant match play bracket, and you fill in all the dead time with just mess around, grow the game, have fun stuff.
Yeah. Part of it too is there's such a disconnect between, oh my God, we want this big television audience at the end of the season. All right, cool. A, if you want that, why don't you have this on Monday, on Labor Day Monday, when there's nothing going on? There's nothing on TV, that sort of thing. And then B, like, just invest in the rest of the regular season. Like, make the big tournaments bigger. And I know that's what they're trying to do, but like, that's where the meat is. That's where the value for the television partners is, isn't in this like thing that you're trying to bolt on to the end. It's in February during Pebble, or it's in, March during Bay Hill or Players or all these things. And it's like, man, like, just consolidate the season and make it better, which I know they're trying to do anyway, but I don't know, the whole Tour Championship thing just seems like an answer to a question that nobody's really asking to begin with. Even Scotty, he's like, hey, I played the best golf this year. You guys just give me the fucking money.
I think their obsession with, like, I think you can have, like, they don't want to give up these tournaments, right? Like that's obviously a very clear thing for them, that they want 4 rounds of stroke play with people in them, right? Like seems like a non-negotiable. I don't know why you have to use that to solve the championship, right? Like, there's obviously money available here. Do a FedEx tournament, or Matt, like, even if from this you went straight into a Final 4, a Final 6, a Final 8, whatever it is, you can use that final event to cut down to when you're going to go to the match play, and make the match play made for TV. Pause the golf when you go to commercial in that, and then you don't have to, like, make it a true made for TV event. Tack that on to the end. That can run during this week. Like, if you don't want to go up against next Sunday's NFL slate, like, you can own the evenings. You go that on the West Coast. You can do that in so many different ways. Like, actually do a championship that would be more interesting way of crowning some than this is, right? But again, they're not going to give up like the stroke play part of it. That part is clear. But like
Which
that
is
doesn't mean you can't tack
but
on.
basically make that the finale to the regular season. Of like, cool,
Totally.
like have the finale of the regular season in Memphis. Make that like, I don't think anybody would bat an eye. Cool. The FedEx St. Jude Classic is like the last tournament of the season. That's the tour championship. And then you do a 2 or 3 thing that, 2 or 3 event thing that ladders up to this match play thing or this, in cool spots, different spots, and you make it a made for TV thing. There weren't that many people out there at the end today anyway,
Yeah. Do you think they run back the staggered start next year?
I do, because I think as long as you're going to keep force feeding this idea and trying to make it fair and trying to make every single person happy, I truly think like that's the best idea. And that's why I think it's just a flawed.
Yeah. I think if you go back to Jay's presser where, he gets asked when the 2025 schedule came out, it looked pretty similar to the 2024 schedule structurally after a couple of years of big time changes. Should we expect that to remain pretty stable? Is this what the PGA Tour is going to look like in 26, 27, etc.? His last sentence was, for fans, I would expect to see what you have in 25 largely on a go-forward basis. But we're always open to improving if there's opportunities to improve. Like, fuck you, man. Like, truly. I mean, there's clearly opportunities to improve. And, like, the fans truly do not matter at all. Like, they're the last. Hey, this thing's fully sponsored. We have Coca-Cola and Southern Company who are all about this in Atlanta. They're based in Atlanta, and they want to sponsor this thing. And that's what success looks like to them. And they're losing sight of the bigger picture of like, hey, how do we improve the larger PGA Tour season or make this entire schedule and this entire ecosystem more coherent? It's like, nope, you know what? We have a couple of great sponsors and we're locked into Atlanta and we're not going to think about anything besides that because we are being successful within this little box that we have created for ourselves.
But thankfully, the playoff ratings are doing great. They're only down 20% for BMW last week, and I'm sure this week's going to be record-setting. But we're not counting the app. We are not counting the viewers and listeners on the app. But
and the NFTs, Solly.
That's of course coming. TC, I'm going to throw this over to you. I want you to talk to us a little bit about Summer Festival and some launch conditions you guys had out there.
Yeah, we had our big Summer Festival event out at Colorado Golf Club last Monday. What a course, by the way. Holy crap. It was awesome. Core Crenshaw, I think Bandon Trails is probably one of my favorite Core Crenshaw courses I've ever played on this side of Sand Hills. And I think I like Colorado Golf Club more than Trails. And we got out there after the BMW. It was we're at elevation. We were about, I think, 5,700 yards there. And so getting dialed in with the elevation, with the altitude, it was about 10%, 10 to 12%, and got dialed in with the Foresight launch monitor on the range that morning. And I was hitting the ball really, really poorly with all of my clubs except for my driver, but I kind of got my driver dialed and then it started getting better down through the bag. The biggest thing that I've noticed out there is the 4 and the 5 iron, like they go the same distance for me out there because it's all loft. Like if you're getting the ball doesn't really spin as much and you're getting it up, but the Foresight gives you the spin numbers, and just you don't really have to calibrate it to the altitude. It's just giving you the baseline of like, hey, here's what the ball is doing here, and then you can basically draw. All right, well that's shot at sea level. That's what that's going out here. You can kind of bring it back down and tether it back to something that you know is there. So really, really interesting to I could have sat there on the range all day and just like hit shots. Watching Ben get his numbers dialed in was crazy. I mean, he's got a pretty good launch angle and everything, and the ball's probably going 14% farther for him. So marrying that stuff up, I don't know. I was struggling at altitude last week, especially after Roger Steele just absolutely
dismantled you.
Put me in a body bag out of Castle Pines.
There's three things that set Foresight Sports apart. Accuracy, it's robot tested, Tour validated data. Ease of use, you push a button and in 30 seconds you're looking at a screen with your numbers. There's no calibration needed, no apps required. It's remarkable. It's durable. It's got a rugged industrial design. Right now, U.S. customers can go to foresightsports.com/nolayingup. Use promo code NLU at checkout to receive 10% off a GC3 bundle or a GC quad. That's foresightsports.com/nolayingup. Promo code NLU at checkout for 10% off a GC3 bundle or GC quad. Been getting some questions in the DMs about a discount for that. So there you go. That is foresightsports.com/nolayingup, code NLU. Got mine out today too. It's so freaking easy to use. It's fantastic.
It's, I mean, the most obvious thing in the world, but just having feedback after each shot, right? I mean, otherwise I have spent years and years and years just being like, I don't know. I think that one was like, that one seemed a little lower. That one seemed a little spinny. I don't know. I think that one flew about what I like. Just having the actual numbers right there is the best way, especially if you're making swing changes, you're trying to get stuff dialed. You got to have some reflective data, you know.
As much as I love the eye test, it's nice to have tools.
Wrapping up, anything else from this past week? TC, you have a Xander TIO thing that you want to get in?
Yeah,
here?
I mean, it was just he got TIO and he got to move it. He missed left on 14. I think Cody's the graphic here. Like, look how far left that is. It's crazy. And he gets to move it, I think it was 62 yards to the right. And then he gets it on the green. And I think it was kind of a ball don't lie situation. And he missed a birdie putt there. But it's just unserious, man. Like, if you're going to hit it there, like, why would you ever miss to the right on this hole? Ever. just blow one up the left and you get a free shot at the green from 289 yards away. It's crazy.
You know how much money they're making
I'm
from that
so over
hospitality,
it.
though?
I'm so over the TIO.
Anything else? I got a Amsterdam, a positive Amsterdam, I think, is the new like drone. The way that NBC is using the drone tracer and just using drones in general for balls in flight is really, really good. It's actually showing some side angles, side views of like whether or not balls are gonna, where they're apexing. Like Scotty's ball and fit shot on 15 today from the side view was pretty interesting, and how they're. It's pretty hard to navigate like three different views, like basically the swing, then getting up in the air with a drone with a tracer on it, and getting the ball landing, and they're doing that really well. So it's been a strong addition for instead of just ground cam pro tracers on repeats. That's a really added. I know there's been a couple different versions of blimp tracer, drone tracer, all this stuff over the years, but this seems to be honestly the best use, and just kind of surprised it's coming out this late in the season for them as golf season's wrapping up here. But that was a positive addition.
CBS debuted it, right?
CBS did it. I know LIV has done a version of it as well, but I didn't think the CBS version was particularly additive. Like they it was kind of more of a I'm flexing just because I can do this, and it wasn't really showing off that much of a different view. But this was, I don't know, this really seemed to like add a layer to a lot of the shots. So it takes a lot for me to dig that deep and give a positive Amsterdam shout out. So
well, we would be extremely unironically remiss if we did not mention the entire back nine was commercial free as well. So for the number one, I think, complaint on all of our, if we were single issue voters, I think it's pretty much commercials in golf telecasts. And the tour and the sponsors of the Tour Championship worked to get the whole back nine commercial free. Now, granted, was it one of the more boring back nines of the season? Certainly, but they, that's some tough luck there, but nonetheless, they were doing it. So that is worth shouting out and much appreciated.
And now, now it sounds like, I mean, Solly, they may make an entire broadcast out of drone tracer shots for you. It sounds like they're really listening to what the fans are asking and
fan forward.
Nowhere in Jay's presser did he say anything about commercials, but he said, all right, we're going to do this whole bells and whistles broadcast on Thursday versus Friday.
Some doing on Friday event compared to Thursday's traditional broadcast.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
And then he was leaning all into cut cam, which is really interesting considering they did away with cuts in like their 12 most important events of the year, which is super cool too. But I guess that's where the juice is on Friday afternoons when guys are trying to make the cut. But this guy is such a buffoon.
I might have to check your math on 12 events, not the 12 biggest events not having cuts.
How many signature events are there? 8, 10, 12?
Well,
I don't even know.
A lot of them have cuts.
Keep track of it.
3 of them have cuts, I think.
Okay,
Plus,
6.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Whatever. I'm so tired of Jay. I feel like we were being held hostage. And it's just, I have Stockholm syndrome. The guy is he's just ruining my enjoyment of golf. So my enjoyment of PGA Tour golf. I really enjoyed the Curtis Cup this weekend, which we'll talk about.
Jordan Spieth announced that he had successful wrist surgery. So hopefully we'll see him as of January, but had the procedure done and feels like it addressed what he needed to address, and we'll have no issues with the wrist going forward. So that is a positive development. Bummer. We knew that was coming, but that is official as of this past week. TC, you have 3 lasting. So we're coming back to Jay's presser. Do you have 3 lasting themes from Jay's presser? Is that what you wanted to do?
No, yeah, I've already gone through some of
Okay.
them. I just
I
wanted to
thought that
make
might
sure
be
we
the case.
covered off on Jay, and just like, again, we're 4 or 5 years into this thing. I bet he goes to Steamboat for the next 2 weeks now that the tour's off until whatever the Napa event is called. He's gonna go rip some lips out of Catamount, get off the grid for a couple weeks probably. So it's just like all he's done is like he's bribed the current guys and said, "Hey, A, you guys don't have any power, and then B, like, try and fire me. You can't." It's crazy. So SSG, we need you guys. Come in here. I know Jay's one of your henchmen, but come in here and rock the boat a little bit this fall. We need it badly.
John Rahm has issued a statement in reply to, not issued a statement, I guess made a comment or whatever. Jaime Diaz on Golf Digest wrote that he spoke with a veteran tour pro who said, "I'm 100% positive that if John could give the money back to the Saudis and come back to the tour, he couldn't write the check fast enough. Now there's only 4 times a year when he's playing that anybody's remotely interested." Rahm said there's zero validity to any of what's said. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why they feel the need to say that some of us are unhappy when we're not. It's one of the things that frustrates me a little bit, the fact that they can claim that there's a source and there's zero truth to it.
Which is Jaime Diaz in this case.
Right.
Jaime Diaz is like one of the greatest golf journalists of all time, who I would put him up there against most
Right. And
others.
he's reporting that a veteran tour pro said that, right? So it is anonymous.
I think it was a veteran. I think it was a veteran tour insider. I don't think it was a tour pro.
Okay.
Which is pretty vague.
Yeah. So I think it's ripe to be. It's very expected that would get picked at, right? I'm not picking on Jaime in that. It's just to say,
I'm also just saying I don't think Jaime says that unless he's heard it from multiple people, and it's a consensus opinion.
Which, like, on that though, like I didn't really jump on this as much as I am very guilty of jumping on any live related stuff like this. I didn't really jump on this because I don't know if like I could technically say I don't really believe that Rahm like regrets what he did. I think he knew exactly what he's doing and decided the money was worth it, right? There could not have been any surprises with what his live golf experience has been. Do I think he's like truly happy and like would rather be doing what he's doing? No, he'd rather have the money. Like, I don't think he would give up all the hundreds of millions of dollars just to come back. Now he made a decision to sell his soul for the money. Like that's pretty clear here. I don't think I do not think he would write a check to get out of it right now. That's the part that I never really felt like was accurate in this of I don't know, just kind of, that's really projecting
2 months earlier, 3 months earlier with the stuff that he said. I think I don't know, I'd push back a little bit there of kind of the gist or the meat of Jaime's story was like, yeah, I think he's completely underestimated or misunderstood everything that this would do to him from a competitive standpoint. And also I think from Rahm's perspective as well, like I think Rahm thought it would bring everybody back together. Like he overestimated his own importance.
That,
right?
I believe. But I also, to the first part, I'm like, how could you miscalculate that? Like, that's the part. Rahm's a smart guy. Like I have a lot of respect for Rahm. I think he's not an idiot in this, and I just don't think, like, especially this late in it. I think some of the guys that jumped initially, and we know if Brooks has told multiple people like that he has regrets about doing this, like that. I believe more than like Rahm making a very calculated decision, taking this money. I've just struggled to wrap my head around there have been any surprises aside from what you said about bringing people back together. Like, I think he truly believed that was going to be a catalyst, and that has proven to not be the case.
But that's the whole thing of like, he's disappointed that it's not all back together.
Yeah.
Right. That he's languishing out there on live now. Like it could be, all right, he's glad he took the money. He would do it again, but he just just kind of misinterpreted what the strategy was or how quickly it would come back together. And based on Jay's, nobody's put a deadline on it, right, Solly? You know, why would you ever think that they would be back together at this
It's
point?
complicated,
It
a
would
very
be-
complex thing.
Yeah, we're not going to negotiate in public or anything like that. You know.
Just have some patience, guys. Just sit there and wait. All right. Just calm the fuck down. All right. We're doing this. We're gonna take care of it. It's only been 3 years so far. We're gonna get this.
We're like
taken care
5
of.
years into this whole process too.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It's like they've had a blank slate to we just had that whole tour championship conversation. They had a free roll to completely reimagine the PGA Tour over the last 4 years. And this is where we are. It's crazy. The
Any
membership
additions,
should
by
be
man?
appalled,
No,
embarrassed.
fucking world's so fucked up. I don't
Couple questions. We're getting to some President's Cup and Curtis Cup, all that stuff. G_P&W over under 7 wins for Scotty in 2025 and over under 1 major.
I'm gonna.
Can I adjust his to 6.5 wins? I think
No,
7.
I hate when people do that. It
That
can't be.
makes
It needs to be a half.
No, it needs to be a half. is
Yeah.
what- 6.5 is a better line. I'm going to take the under, as nobody's ridden harder for Scotty than me. I still think 5 wins would be a unbelievable dub. I don't know if we're going to see another season quite like this. There's not a lot of 8-win, 7-win seasons out there for the last 15 years, especially as guys are playing less.
It is 5.5 a better number. That makes you
5.5 would make you think a little more. I think he's going to win 5 times. 5 times in a major. I would sign
sounds
up
right.
for it right now.
It's
I would
still
go-
so many, right?
That's so many. I would go over 4.5, under 5.5, probably on that. And major is 1.5 the number for majors. And I mean, you get some plus odds for going over that one and pay minus probably at this point for under it. But that's probably where it shakes out for next year. So,
And then you look at Quail Hollow for a major venue.
yeah.
Which I think it's going to produce an exceptional leaderboard and like guys.
Yeah.
I think Quail Hollow is like a good venue. Like I'm just tired of separating out. I'm tired of seeing Quail Hollow with. I think it's a pretty good major venue. I don't think it's a great golf course, but I think it identifies a good winner.
How come we can't move around to Pebble Beach, but we can go to Quail Hollow fucking any month of the year? Anytime. The doors are always open there. We can always go there. This is so stupid. I'm not gonna buy that Pebble's off the table. I mean, Oakmont, he's gonna win by 30, right?
What's their police situation like there?
That's true. Augusta, obviously,
that's a new course though. That's a new course for Scotty. It's a different twist.
So
Port
was
Rush.
this though, right?
Yeah,
exactly. I think you'd be disrespectful to just to this season, like the historic season that we had this year, to like keep going over. Like that's,
I agree.
We need to still level set things for next year.
Ludwig's coming.
See
the ribs playing nice.
On that note, Sammy_B95. How do we feel about Rory's season and the future?
I feel better at this point than I did at this point last year with Rory. I feel like he showed a lot more than we've seen from him in recent years, at least as far as the majors and hitting certain shots. And like, I mean, dude, we were out at Castle Pines last week and he was hitting outrageous, like little stinger drivers that I'm like, dude, I didn't even know you had that shot. Right.
Yeah, you
so
could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm in on who knows about his psyche or whatever, but I think as far as his like hard skills, as far as his golf game, I think he's probably a better player than he's ever been.
Yeah, I think everybody else is too, though, which is
Totally.
hard.
That's fair.
You know, that's where I keep coming back to is like, is he leveling up at the same rate as Scotty and Xander and Colin and all these guys? I don't know.
That's where it's like looking at it year over year, like that hasn't changed very much versus looking at it now versus 10 years ago. Like, yes, I'd be very concerned, but I think looking at it 12 months ago, I feel good about where he's at.
Yeah.
He had a pretty damn good year last year.
I know.
Yeah, this was a little dip.
I think it was a step back for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
It was. I think it
I
was.
agree.
I think he would say the same.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I just look at the majors, man. Like that's
it's
kind of what I'm looking at with Rory.
No, I guess that Open Championship is kind of lingering in my mouth a little bit on how unfun that was to watch.
I mean, his major year last year. He was T7 at the PGA. He was second at the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
He was T6 at the Open. Like he was a stronger player last year. I mean, strokes gained dipped almost a half shot into this year off of.
Maybe I just look at like Pinehurst and I'm just like, man, like that he showed something there that he hadn't showed in a really long time. I felt like.
I think it's going to be it's going to be. I guess we won't know until Augusta, but it's going to be hard to know whether his soul absolutely left his body losing that one or not. That was tough.
Let's get.
Tough. He certainly didn't look.
I've also
good
kind of moved on a little bit.
That's kind of where I'm at. Is I know exactly, and that's yeah. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to expound on that quite yet, but that's kind of how I feel too. It's like I feel a little more comfortable with him kind of being part of the background a little bit. I didn't think about him this week like really at all. You know, it's just kind of. I guess majors are the only thing that matter when he's done all of these things a million times already. But it's a weird feeling. We're getting to that point in the career where like two things are true, right? Like his age is going like this, and everybody keeps saying that golf's, the dominant golfer's age is going like this. And Rory's like, he'll be 36 or so by the time we get to Augusta next year. I know that's not ancient for golfers by any means, but like, I don't know. These peaks are moving a lot earlier for a lot of these guys. I'm kind of with you, TC, and like I could see emotionally kind of moving on a little bit, and if it pops up, it pops up. But I don't know.
I think he bounces back next year. I think he kind of something in between this year and last year probably. But yeah,
Port Rush, Quail Hollow.
Quail Hollow is nice.
Feel like very. All right, if you guys had to power rank who you think is going to win a major the most versus who you think is going to win the least, Sahith, Rory, Tommy, or Spieth?
I mean, Rory of that illustrious crew.
Rory, Tommy, Sahith, Spieth.
I would say. Would you say Rory, Tommy, Sahith, Spieth?
Yeah,
I would co-sign that.
Rory, Tommy,
what are you gonna say, CC?
I'm gonna say.
Also, you're
Tommy,
just shaming us into Sahith. That came back around way faster than I thought. You put Tommy ahead of Sahith. You're trying to browbeat us into apologizing for Sahith.
Tommy's always around in majors, man. I think he's gonna win a major.
Tommy's only 33 or 34 too. I mean, you know
who else didn't do anything past 33 though.
It's true, TC.
Does Spieth contend again?
For sure.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna
somewhere British Open or Masters or something.
Like consistently, I don't think so. But will he do it? Yes.
I'm willing to
consistently. You just need those pops.
Willing to give one more big helping of optimism after surgery. That seems like it was going on for a while, and who knows, right? Like if he goes and gets right and cleans up whatever he had going on, maybe that does like fundamentally change what he's got going on. That's probably still a little rose-colored glasses, but I'm willing to not write him off completely.
Pretty wild to see how bearish you guys are on Sahith.
Well, just about on Spieth, again, a reminder, he's had one season since 2017 that was within a shot of what he did in 2017. Like one since then. And
that's a whole season. We're not asking for a whole season. We're asking for 4 rounds, dog.
That's right. Oh, that I think he can do. We know he's going to do something crazy. He almost won a Bethpage. That made no sense at all in 2019. Moving on, let's do President's Cup. This is allegedly they're making picks this coming week. Trevor Emmon was all in TC's ass for saying the President's Cup didn't matter this past week. It was glorious. I absolutely
he made a really strong case. It super mattered. See you at Royal Montreal, bud.
TC was sounding like a Cardinals fan saying, I'll support this team when it starts winning.
TC's voting with his wallet, man.
No, I didn't say when it starts winning. I said when I like the captain and I like the venue. And I don't like either, and I don't know. I don't think it's an interesting.
It's a tough team to get behind, TC. It's a tough team to put the black and gold on.
And that was what I was trying to say with Trevor is like kind of replying to I'm like they should do a youth movement. They should try some new guys out. They should do.
Let's do them
fun
first.
Stuff. It's an entertainment product.
Who are your picks? Automatic qualifiers for internationals are Tom Kim, Sung J M, Adam Scott, Ben An, Hideki Matsuyama, and Jason Day. Who are your international captains picks?
I'm gonna go with Minwoo Lee. He's not playing great right now, but Montreal, big culinary city. You got to bring the chef. Got to bring the chef to town. All right. Next up, we're gonna go with my guy Foxy.
Way down the list.
Kind of a Commonwealth pick.
Really?
All that. Next up, we're going.
You're gonna have to scroll a ways to get down to Foxy. Yeah.
Next up, we're going with Rico Hoey. He's 25th on the list on the Corn Ferry Tour, which is that's how bleak this gets really, really quickly. But I like Rico a lot. Driver off the deck specialist. Let's try him out. That's what, 3?
Yeah.
Next, we're going Carl Phillips, Koala Carl, one of the hottest players in the world right now. I think he's won once, maybe twice on the Corn Ferry Tour here of late. Gone from having no status anywhere or I think partial status on PGA Tour Americas to having his PGA Tour card for next year. I think Koala Carl, you get him primed up before you get down to Kingston Heath. What is that, 2028 at Kingston Heath? So that's 4. Next up, we're going Christo Lamprecht. I think both teams should have a captain's agreement. You should have a PGA Tour University player. Christo Lamprecht on that side, Luke Clanton on the other side. Who says no, right?
Okay.
That's 5, I think. And then lastly, we're going with Rikuya Hoshino, just because I feel like we need to get Hideki somebody to play with who speaks Japanese and all of that. Left out, Corey Connors, Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, Taylor Pendrith,
Cam Davis,
things of that nature. So I don't think the Canadians have earned this one. If you haven't qualified on points, the only guy that I would maybe put on there is Nick Taylor. I think Nick Taylor's a proper player. And I like Hadwin. I just don't think he's had a great season.
Deej, who are your international picks? Did you go TC's route or more traditional?
I had exactly the same as TC. That's crazy. I kind of the Carl Phillips thing is kind of sweet. There's something that happens to these dudes when they first come out of college that they are true like top 50 players, just like pure blind confidence, not having gotten the shit kicked out of them in a pro career for 3 or 4 years. Like I think there's actually something there, TC. I went much more down this is kind of a US Ryder Cup. Like, just give me the guys on the rankings list, to be honest. Corey Connors, Cam Davis, TC. I don't know how you've ridden for Cam Davis for
he's really good. Years. He just smells. I worry about the team room. Okay.
I obviously went Minwoo Lee. I went Bez. I mean, I think I didn't even do this on purpose, but I just went with the next 6 guys. I went Bez. I did not want to pick
imposter.
I did not want to pick Taylor Pendrith. Bez is not an imposter. Bez is playing good.
Pendrith is an imposter.
Pendrith stinks. No, I agree. Pendrith stinks, but he's like better than a lot of these other options. I had left him off immediately because I think I also don't know much about the golf course. Tried to look up some info on the golf course, but I don't really know who the course fit guys are.
Not good.
Nick Taylor, I picked. I wanted to pick Adam Hadwin. I wanted to pick Siwoo Kim. I wanted to pick Mackenzie Hughes. I wanted to pick Foxy. And like all those guys just really have not done shit, man, which is where I circled back to Pendrith. I think is like 30th in the data golf rankings. Like, I think he's played some nice golf as much as that's kind of an inconvenient truth for my whole platform, especially since I think he completely shit the bed in his last President's Cup appearance, but
very much so.
I don't know, man. Mike Weir playing in Canada, like, at least give the fan. My thought honestly was like, at least just give the fans something fun to cheer for. Load it up with Canadians.
Solly, you should go all Canadians.
I went insane.
Brooke Henderson
with my picks. I went 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 13, not 12. Yeah. I went Hadwin over Nick Taylor. Wow. Nick Taylor's had a sneaky kind of, I know, it's crazy. But I mean, honestly,
let's just get Svensson on the team while we're at it, right?
If the other guys weren't Canadians, I think it'd be easier to mix. Like Siwoo Kim, I think might be on the outside looking in, which I don't necessarily know if he should be, but I think the Canadian element is going to definitely. It's an entertainment product. I think they're going to lean heavily into the guys that are from that country.
With them calling it Royal Montreal too. It's like so far outside the city. It's not Royal Montreal. It's just like TPC Boston.
King Abdullah Economic City.
Exactly.
Yeah,
man. I'm just receiving word. Solid. Nick Taylor has sucked.
Yeah, he really has.
He has.
Yeah.
Like, really bad.
He's a proper player.
Huh.
TC, I did a little digging on a couple things, and I'm gonna. Is Ryan Fox a proper player? Because I'm gonna.
No, absolutely not. He's
Okay.
like
Okay. Good. I feel like I've heard you say
he's
a
good
proper
on
play like
firm
8
turf,
times.
which this won't be. And
You get like
just
one
kinda-
low shot at the Masters, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a proper player." Like I don't.
Yeah, he likes to work the ball. He likes firm conditions. He's not like a
gets on base.
exactly.
All right,
Got
Tate,
some
who are your
power.
U.S. Picks?
On the U.S. side, I went Mr. Burns.
Let's see.
I went Russ Henley.
Yep.
I'm gonna skip the next one. I went Akshay Bhatia. TC, it pains me to do this. I went Justin Thomas. I think he's had a better year than most, and I just don't think there's like a ton of future investment in a lot of these guys, unless you want to talk me into Davis Thompson or Austin Eckroat, or even like Nick Dunlap hasn't been that good. I don't know. I'm in on the youth movement stuff, but not
if it's there. If
if
the
it's
youth are there.
Yes, yes. I don't think it's really there.
Solid question for you. Does Dunlap's does his amateur win count towards these standings?
I do not know.
I don't think it does, or I think he would be higher on this list. I can't square with him. Like he wasn't even in the top 25.
It's
and he's won
horrible. Like there's no like tracking of these points.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like collapse any of these or to get any kind of look into it. So
It's a meritocracy, though.
they
guys.
might be making up these points for all I know. But
I really wanted to skip Big Tone, but I'm going to put him on there because he, again, just like the U.S. has not really been beaten down the door. I'm leaving Keegan Bradley off just because I don't think he's been playing that good. And B, I think like bring him to be kind of assistant captain, bring him to shadow Jim Furyk, basically make him the shadow captain, get him ready for the Ryder Cup. And then my last guy,
gotta do it.
He's been the best American team player over the last 2 years, man.
I'm ready to ride.
Max has not been playing good golf. Nobody is going to apologize for the golf he's been playing. I think he's earned it over the last 2 team events. He's been the fucking dude on the U.S. side the last 2 times. And I don't know. It's the President's Cup. Just get him there. Keep it. It could be the Adam Scott, like get the confidence back thing, right? Like get out and play with the guys, be a leader in the team room. I think you need it.
I'll just save the time. Those are exactly my 6 picks as well. TC, do you have? I can't wait to hear this.
I got a
Miles
few different
Russell,
ones.
Blades
No,
Brown.
I'm picking up what you guys are putting down as far as Max is concerned. I think he's earned it. I think the only concern is just like, do you want him to shut it down or do you want him to play his way through this? Right. So I'll go Max. I'll go Russ Henley. That's a no-brainer. I think Keegan's playing great golf. I think he's going to play his way onto the Ryder Cup team. I think it's going to. So you might as well figure out how to do both.
I'll take that bet if you want to put a wager on that next year.
I have no idea why or how or
get a little action on that one.
Yeah, I don't want to be like betting on Keegan. I'm going.
Do you think he's going to be in the top 6 Americans this time next year? TC.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's
God, that'd be such
really
a
good golf.
Fucking sick own goal by the Americans.
There shouldn't be any automatic qualifiers. It should be all
for sure.
All captains' picks.
Of course.
I'm going, like I said, Luke Clanton. I'm going Akshay. I'm going Will Zalatoris. I think Will Zalatoris at some point needs some team experience. T12 at Memphis, T13 at BMW. He's kind of playing his way into form. I don't know. I think he's going to be use this as like an incubator, right? Yep. Get Cam Young on. Bring Billy Horschel as an ass captain. Nick Dunlap, get him on the team. I don't know. This, like I said to Trevor, this thing does not matter at all.
Not spoken like somebody that's a member of the Shield, TC. All right, they have a lot of identity in that Shield.
No, they did until Mike Weir became the captain. And I think it's really and they took it to Royal Montreal. It's really unserious. I'm still pissed about Mike Weir just showing up and withdrawing from a bunch of tournaments back, 7-8 years ago. It was ridiculous.
It's like 12 years ago. People don't
I
forget.
hold grudges, okay?
Those are announced. So the internationals are going to be announced September 3rd at 1 p.m. The U.S. is going to be announced September 3rd at 2 p.m. So mark your calendars for that. Do we have any ground made up on the LPGA? Oh, it is looking like
yes.
Greetings. Jin Young Ko has like a 12-foot birdie putt here on the 18th. Currently tied at the top of 15 under with Hae-Young Ryu, but it's still wet out there. They're just slogging it in. Carlota's in the final group with LC. It's like
Carlota hit a shank.
It's
earlier.
so slow. We'll see. Hopefully she makes this birdie putt, but I'll keep you updated on it.
Thank you.
I do want to shout out Hae-Young Ryu. She shot 69, 62, 78, 64. And
That's remarkable.
It played so hard on Thursday. I think Marina Alex was tied for the lead at -4. Most of the field was over par. And then they eased up on the setup a bunch on Friday, and Ryu shot 62. And there wasn't a 62 out there. Just clean card, 10 birdies. And then turns around and fires 78, 16 shots higher the next day. Incredible.
It was fun.
I was kind of like watching TBC Boston.
Yeah,
I just
right?
did.
Of course. Yeah,
I thought that was like I don't know. That was a good golf tournament. That was kind of almost like the peak of my PGA Tour watching. I feel like when you had Tiger, I don't know, the playoffs felt a little new at least. I always kind of enjoyed that tournament. Fun to see some of those holes again. Like seeing it's always fun when, I mean, this obviously speaks to one of the largest kind of challenges or opportunities in the women's game is it's always fun when you see a photo that you've seen 1,000 times, but you have the women playing the hole instead of the men. That's kind of how I felt like seeing that par 3 on the back 9. You know what I mean? We're like, wait, what is that? Like I've seen that whole thing. Oh, right. TBC Boston. That's right. Okay. I have familiarity with this golf course.
And I'll say this, a new event this year, they just announced today that they're coming back again next year for the FM Championship. I believe the same weekend. I think Labor Day in Boston absolutely makes sense when you talk about,
That's what it was.
We just got done
That's what it
talking
was.
about
It's
East
not
Lake
in
and everything
Boston.
else.
It's more in Providence. But
Excuse me, just outside of Boston.
Yeah,
Fenway Sports Group, by the way.
That's right.
Of course, obligatory mention that Gil Hanse is a cock. Of course, for what he did for the 18th green, according to Luke Donald back in. If people don't know that story, Luke Donald accidentally tweeted what was supposed to be a DM after he got screwed on the 18th green, calling Gil Hanse a cock, which was very funny at the time. She should not have apologized for that. That was very funny. Solheim picks. We had a podcast came out on Friday with Cody and Big talking reaction on the US side and the European side. They have Lexi, Jennifer Kupcho, and Sarah Schmezel are the US picks, and Albin Valenzuela, Anna Nordquist, Emily Christine Peterson, and Georgia Hall on the European side for the Solheim Cup, which is coming up quickly. Do you see any reaction to those picks?
No, I thought they were pretty stock. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a big Lexi guy, but I think overall Lexi Kupcho, tough to get excited about those. Sarah Schmelzel's had a really good season. Angel Yin's on the outside looking in. She's got hasn't played great of late, but probably a reason to be, a little bit miffed, especially considering her Solheim Cup record. And then on the European side, I think they went with experience. They got Albin Valenzuela on there as well. And then Nordquist, Emily Christine Peterson, and Georgia Hall, just, kind of stalwarts there. I hope they get our Swedish friend, who was the guy that made the big eagle or the big putt at the end.
Caroline Headwall.
Yeah, Headwall. Headwall needs to be an assistant captain. Like she needs to be there.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't have any insight on that one. I'm guessing the ass captains are probably figured out at this point, but. Curtis Cup was at Sunningdale this past week. It was incredible viewing. Brill, even if you will. The GBNI team beat the United States 10.5 to 9.5. I think there's almost no better place to be in the world late summer playing golf than the Sunningdale Old Course. It's just freaking insanely good. Awesome event. And they've done such a great job elevating Walker Cup and Curtis Cups in recent years. Just like truly the venues matter. Like ethos being put on display at these events and where they're having them, because that was great viewing. Very limited commercials, if they're ready commercials this morning there for Sunday singles. That's just a proper golf event.
Yeah, Sunningdale. I mean, TC, we were talking about it earlier. That might be tip top of my list of like, how have I not been to that place? Like scrolling through some of the videos and the whole previews and watching the highlights today, I'm just like, God, why? I mean, why has nobody told me about this place? No, it looks spectacular. I don't really want to bring it. Jordan's backstage. I think she probably watched a lot more of it than any of us. Jordan, what were your Curtis Cup takeaways?
Guys, I'm fuming. I'm furious. That was just an abomination by Team USA.
First time
They
they've lost
totally,
since like 2016 or something.
yeah. Big lineups and pairing issues, I think, is what it came down to. Feel like Team USA was the more talented team, but GB and I was the better team this week.
I feel like I've heard
Big
that before in this event.
Yeah, I was disappointed, really disappointed by Team USA, by some of the lineups that came out specifically on Saturday four ball. It felt like there was more of let's give everyone a fair shake rather than let's send out who's playing the best. They sent out some players who had not won a single match up until that point,
It's the boys'
and
club.
yeah, it held back on some players who had been winning and playing well. And I think my take on that is like everybody gets a shot on Sunday, and don't lean back on Sunday to try and make up ground. And you know, we came in today, needed 3 versus 5. It's just I couldn't get over some of the decisions that Megan Stassi made. That was really tough to see. But Astor's tally, I will say, was an enormous bright point. I felt like, and I was telling someone this earlier, I felt like Astor's tally this summer has evolved in this summer in ways that it takes players to evolve in years. And that might be because of the position she's put herself in terms of the girls' junior final, in terms of the women's amateur final. But this Curtis Cup, she really showed it off. She was the best player out there. And even her specifically paired with Jasmine Koo, they played phenomenally. I mean, they fell to Hannah Darling. I mean, anybody paired with Hannah Darling this week was just in great shape. And that's the thing about GB and I that I noticed too, is that like anybody equipped with Lottie or Hannah Darling was energizing them, or the other way around. And even though they both fell in their singles matches today, they still energized the rest of the team. And I don't know. Sarah Byrne, I just want to say I was familiar with your game, but I wasn't that familiar with your game. Some of the greatest approach play I've ever seen in a match like that. Like I loved watching her. Lottie was being Lottie. I mean, I think putting asterisk against Lottie was kind of ballsy, but I loved it. I thought that was epic. And yeah, I don't know. I shout out to Rachel Keane, I want to say, because I think qualifying for 3 straight Curtis Cups is hard, and I think it was commendable that she waited out her amateur career to finish that way because you just don't see that very often. But she gave it her all as well and has played great in all of her Curtis Cups, and has a tremendous record. And yeah, I was very disappointed by what I saw from Team USA, but GB and I deserved it. Katrina Matthew, I hope they don't let go of her. Karen Stopples was also a big part of that as well, especially with her win at Sunningdale. I mean, that was a no-brainer. But yeah, GB and I really brought it this year, and hats off to them. They just did an incredible job.
I thought it was interesting seeing Melanie Green on the US side. She was 3 up at one point late in the front 9, and then not happy about not being given a 2 or 3 foot putt, and does the JT lays her putter down on the green to kind of measure the thing.
You know what,
and then
TC?
loses.
You just don't do that. You just don't do that. You
You
just don't do
don't,
that.
especially at
do that.
Sunningdale, especially on foreign soil.
You
Proper
can't do it.
club.
What you don't do is
where
like,
she
then
learned that,
kick
Sully?
the
She learned
match
that from
away.
JT and the boys club. That's who she learned it from. And,
I think I contend it's okay if you go like win the match, but you can't do that and then like kick the match away. Like that's
kick the match away, and then also like she tied, she gassed the match, and then they lost the Solheim Cup because of it. That's tough.
The Curtis Cup, but yeah.
Curtis.
Did you have a problem when
Curtis Cup.
when Shane Lowry did it on foreign soil, or was it just the American Curtis Cup player?
I don't recall that one.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. We can check the
So,
tape on
but
that one.
I will say to the Irish, I need to see more out of Anya Donegan. Okay, I just need to see a little bit more.
That's fair.
Noted. Team Rose getting some run out there again in the team photo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was out there supporting. Good on him.
He's gonna get knighted here pretty soon. I think he's on the fast track. Monty was in the team room giving a pep talk, I think, today. So, but no, Team
Charlie
Rose.
Hull was out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Team Rose, DJ and I, just generally speaking, hand up, mea culpa.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Solly, I don't know if this kind of goes into our Serve Pro mea culpa segment.
That's coming up next. If you want to wait for that, or is that what your mea culpa is going to be?
Yeah, that's where I was gonna lead into. I know we're kind of looking back thanks to our friends at Serve Pro. Jordan, thank you for the Curtis Cup weigh in as well. Looked like a hell of an event.
Can I give you my spiel here? Is in golf when bad shots happen, there's the mulligan ball. When fire, water, or other damage happens, there's Serve Pro. Thankfully, the pros at Serve Pro can help us clean up some messy takes from this week or from this year, from any point, really. So let's go around the horn on some bad takes and mea culpas and make them like they never even happened.
And I think we were kind of looking at this as a broad, the season has ended now. What are some takes from this past year or even years past that you really want to get off your chest, get off your, expunge from your record? And I feel like Team Rose, it started as I think a pretty good bit. I think everybody had a lot of fun with it. Just a deeply self-serious person, all the don't underestimate me stuff, all the douchey like photos on social media. He just seems like it's such a cartoon character and very easy to poke fun of. I think the scales have tipped now for me, where I think he's doing enough good stuff. He's doing a lot of good stuff with women's European golf. I was so impressed with his just presence at the Ryder Cup last year and how he took, a lot of these dudes under their wing. And he just kind of is like, he's really good at saying a lot of the right stuff. And it's become not as fun to poke fun at Team Rose anymore. And so today just put me over the edge of like, you know what, man, he doesn't have to be out there at the Curtis Cup. He doesn't have to be. I think he might just be a golf sicko. And there was a lot of very friendly British people in my mentions today. Like, hey, what's up with the Team Rose thing? What do we not like about this guy? Because like, it seems like he's kind of doing a lot of the right stuff. And while I won't say that my bit came from, I think it did come from a good place, and it probably was. It did need to have a little air taken out of his balloon. I'm willing to back off of it now, and I think he's probably a pretty good guy. So I want to apologize for that one.
That's big of you. I think also he didn't have to be out there at all, and he certainly he was out there 2 or 3 days in a row, and that's not like, hey, I'm trying to get the photo up. That's no, like I legitimately give a shit. So DJ, I'm right there with you.
They had a cool vid he did where he kind of surprised a bunch of the players in one of their team rooms or whatever, and I don't know. That's cool. He's doing a lot of the right stuff. We don't have to relitigate all the past stuff, I think. But I'll go next. I made some calls. We were of course making some predictions early in the year, very beginning of the year, kicking off the year, and I made a really, really poor one. And it's end of the PGA Tour season. And I have to own it. Cody, if you have it, let's just play the clip from the season preview pod, and I'll own it on the back end. Not following you that he's going to lift and separate from Scotty, because Scotty is going to win 4 times, including a major, and have positive strokes gained putting in 2024. So I think we bottomed out on the putting.
Complex one. I like it.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot of predictions wrapped up in one
parlay.
Yeah, it's a big same game parlay.
I just TC and you're just gonna apologize.
Sure.
Completely undersold.
See that coming from 1,000. I knew you were gonna throw a curveball.
Completely undersold him. I totally undersold him. He won 8 times, not 4. It was such a weak prediction. And I have to be better. I have to give him respect. I have to own that, guys. I said he was only going to win 4 times, and it looks very, very, very so. It's off by 4 wins. That's a lot.
Massive.
That's a lot to be off by.
Egg on your face, man.
Yeah, I have to own that. So,
guys, we are getting word that Team Rose was working for Sky or the RNA this week, so he may have been paid to be there.
That's fine. Well, listen, he doesn't need the money from that either. That's just being an easy no. My apology stands.
Yeah. I want to get that in because I have a feeling TC's Mulligan's going to be in a similar vein.
No, I think mine. No, like real Mulligans, like Ludwig, all that stuff. We've been over that. I've apologized for Ludwig's performance this year. Some second place finishes and stuff like that. I think I got 2. Xander. I was wrong on Xander. He was clearly the second best player this year, like by far, wasn't even close, and kind of shut it down at a real major and a pseudo major.
Worth
well.
acknowledging the leap he took, though, right? It wasn't like he stayed on the same
totally.
like on the path that he was on. It wasn't like you were off with that. It was like, dude, he the Chris Como thing. He became a different dude this year.
I think there was
a lot of other years he would have been by far the best player. It's just a matter of he ran into like a generational buzzsaw this year. So
there was a stat from Justin Ray on that front. I think it was 9.4% of the time he made bogey, which is the lowest percentage all time in the history of the PGA Tour.
Holy shit!
So that's good.
Jesus,
that's good.
Wow. Sheesh. And then just a recent mea culpa. I wanted to apologize to Wesley Bryan, who I went after on our Wednesday live show, and I talked to Wesley this week. I called into question his character for him going down the wrong fairway on the 18th hole during the Creator Classic, and then taking TIO.
That's such a funny sentence.
Yeah, and and then I'd said he was one of my least favorite people in golf, which was obviously hyperbole and wasn't true. I think I've hung out with George a number of times. I've met Wesley once or twice, but obviously I think they've done good things for the game of golf, and Wesley and I don't see eye to eye on things a lot of the time, but I shouldn't have. I apologize to him for going after his character, and I think he deserved. We can talk about whether he should have been at the Creator Classic or not. He almost won a PGA Tour event this year. It was almost like a sign of like, hey man, you're really good. Like, I don't know, should Bryson be there then too and just beat everybody? So anyway, just wanted to apologize for that.
That's big of you, TC.
Here,
sincerely. We have if you listen to our show on Wednesday, we asked the Beluga Neil Schuster to do a big board similar to how we did at the AT&T, where he ranked and predicted how the top 30 in the field were gonna finish. Cody made this awesome graphic about the Beluga big board. Neil was really self-conscious about us revisiting this on the show. He's like, make sure you guys got to own that you picked Ludwig to win this week, right? I mean, because you can't just lay into me here. But he did okay.
I thought he did pretty good. Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. It's a hard exercise.
He picked. We're not going to go through them all here, but he
nailed
Tom Hoge.
Tom Hoge finished T29.
Yeah, he nailed Tom Hoge.
Chris Kirk was 1 off. I mean, Finau, he's 2 off. Bez wasn't too far off. Missed on Sahith. Big.
That was some disrespect.
He had him pegged at 23rd, and he
Adam Scott
third.
Kind of slept on him. Kind of slept on Sungjae.
He picked Xander to win. That didn't quite work out. Picked Scotty to finish 3rd. Ludwig to finish 2nd. So I don't know if he can yell at us for picking Ludwig to win. He was on that one too.
Yeah, so. I would maybe call into. I would say picking 2 guys ahead of Scotty Scheffler when Scotty's starting with a lead. It was fairly clownish, I would say.
He forgot to pick Tommy.
I gave him. I adjusted his form here. I gave him a nice grade here. I would have thought he would have put Tommy in there at 11th, but just real quick on this. Like I think you guys were a little hard on Wyndham this past year. I mean, finishes 8th overall for the season.
You flipped it at the bottom there. I think he got a lot of tough press during a tough stretch, and he kind of flipped it back at the bottom.
I think there was some stolen valor out at Pebble Beach. I don't think that was a proper win, and then I just think some of it was residual stuff from, him. The nature that he won out at LACC, and just some of the stuff that he's done as far as TIO and other things.
I actually saw him in a pushback and say we were not hard enough on Wyndham after looking at this. He missed the cut at Riv, which 10 guys missed the cut. He missed the cut
as the defending U.S. Open champion.
He missed a lot of cuts.
Missed the cut at Memorial where 10 guys missed the cut. Missed the cut at the Masters. Missed the cut at the PGA, and missed the cut at the Open Championship. He missed the cut at 3 of the four majors.
It's not good, but for his PGA Tour season was pretty fucking good. Finished in the top 10. I mean,
that's an unserious.
Finish in the top 10.
I'm gonna offer you
because he played well in Memphis.
To get back out of this.
Colorado,
since late June, he's played really good golf. He had a really bad stretch there from March to end of June, but then he rebounded quickly.
Great. I would say there's big tournaments in that stretch.
Very big
He
tournaments.
seems like maybe a
T7 at the St. Jude. It's pretty sick.
A
I'm
guy
sure
that
what people remember.
that makes the wild card, gets in the wild card, gets hot in the postseason, but again, we're talking about a golf postseason that doesn't matter versus
Yeah.
Deej, you got a little golf lesson this past week? You getting back in the lab? Was that
I did. I was thinking,
positive development?
yeah, I don't know why nobody suggested that. I've spent 25 years just trying to figure it out on my own, which, mixed results on that. But yeah, it turns out having a professional kind of look at your action was very helpful. I worked with a local guy, Joe Scherer, and we had a great day out there. Went and hit balls today. A lot of it stuck. It was just, we don't need to, we've been going an hour and 40 here. We don't need to belabor it too much. I might do a little writing maybe on kind of the whole lesson experience, I think, because there was a lot of fun stuff to take away. But TLDR, listen, you don't come at me. I know early extension. I get it. I know I'm closed. I know I'm steep. I fucking see the same video you guys are seeing. The problem is like how to actually fix it. And the way we do it, we got to create more width and depth in the backswing, which is what we're doing. And we've got some good feels to create that power. And then we're using the left side of, using the ground with our left side. So it's been an exciting couple of weeks. My golf game feels good for the first time, right? In time to have a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
Is Deej being paid under the table by the PGA of America? Are you working with Blocky or something?
No, I would have worked with any kind of AI system, or I would have taken advice from anybody. It would have been fine.
What's going on in your game, TC?
Oh God, you don't want to know. It's bad. We're in a bad place. I shot at our NLU summer festival. I shot 49-38. I shot 49, Solly. Granted, I was exhausted. I think I was hungover. I almost broke my nose a couple nights prior. Like I was not doing well, but I couldn't hit the ball. It was crazy. It's like I'm playing like a 15 handicap right now. I got people online on YouTube saying my ass TC's a 1. I don't want to be a 1. Like I got some good scores in the bank this year. That's what the handicap system says I am based on the scores that I've shot this year. But I'm playing, at best I'm playing like an average round that I go out, maybe a 3.5 or a 4. I'm an easy mark right now. So anybody that wants to play me right now, like get in while the getting's good, because TC's about to get in the lab. Got a pen and a pad.
It could be the olds might be coming for their revenge down there at Ponte Vedra Inn Club.
TC, when was the last time we played a Thursday game? Like now that PGA Tour season's over, we got to get out. We got to get out on some Thursdays, man. We got to play some golf here. Okay. I know summer's coming to an end here. Not really. We still got another month. Like it's freaking hot here still in September. But to update people on the chase for the 180 chase, which is 180 pounds, 180 ball speed. Started at 196 pounds and started at 165 ball speed, maybe 167. I don't know what I started at, but touched 174 on ball speed. Of course, this here on the Foresight Sports GC Quad. Title is GT3 Driver. Stack speed training going on. We're going up and up.
Hydrating with a Yeti water bottle.
A lot of things to credit here. A lot of things to credit here. But sticking to a routine, I'm not getting out and playing any golf, really much golf. I think I've got 3 rounds in the last 2 months, but I am getting in the backyard and getting some swings in, like the little medium little touch point at home when you aren't able to get out of the house has been really helpful. I don't know if it's helpful for the game, but the speed is going up. It's been really fun.
Hell yeah.
And I ran to the range today and just tested. I haven't really been testing what the ball speed is, but just went there and hit like 15 balls today to see what it was. And yeah, it's nice. So it's fun.
What is your plan to keep yourself in golf shape with the pending new children that are coming into your life? Because there's nothing really to work for the next couple months.
It sounds like he's kind of becoming more of just a theoretical golfer, which is
dome golf.
Mental reps.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm in my garage. Like I don't play, but my speed's just going up. Like
do we set up a sim for you? Like, what's the best route so you come out the other side and you're still competitive solid?
Well, I'm hoping to be able to eventually get like a net set up in my backyard to be able to do some at-home stuff and just go outside and hit balls for 5-10 minutes. That's kind of what but most realistic thing. But this stack thing only takes takes 30 minutes, and it's twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, depending on how the dates fall out. And like put on the schedule and do it, and it's good physical exercise and it's fun. Like it's I've really enjoyed that part actually. So I
Solly's gonna join the TGL.
Hell yeah,
That'd be sick.
Jupiter Links.
I don't know if they,
Work
do they
hard
make
and then
those,
play hard.
do they make the golf strollers in a 3-holer or not? I don't know if you could pull that off. You might need to do some aftermarket modifications.
I might just like
Get out of the course.
have it just hooked to me like via a some sort of bungee cord or something, carry them around. So it's going to bring us towards wrapping here. If you missed it, hopefully you did not from this past week. We released it. If I may say so, DJ Pie was in his bag with our Old Course in Reverse film that came out, which was sponsored by our friends at Yeti, of our experience going around the Old Course in Reverse. And I don't really even know how to describe it, but it was freaking amazing experience. And DJ captured it, and the whole team captured it in a way that wouldn't have been possible many years ago. Captured it in the wind and rain, and we have audio and visual for that day, which is still kind of a mini miracle. And it was just a really freaking cool experience. It is on our YouTube channel here, and I hope people get a chance to see it if you haven't already, because it was freaking amazing.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say, but also, yeah, more shooters than we've ever had, more audio help than we've ever had, more music help we've ever had. You guys were great on camera. It was like, it's one of the most fun projects we've ever put out there. So please go watch that. And also, if you haven't yet, there's 2 videos on our YouTube channel that look very similar that are wildly different. And I think a lot of people probably skipped over the film room that we did, which is actually going into every one of, because the film that we did does not show every one of, the shots of the Old Course in Reverse, but the film room that we did does. So if you want to see how every single hole plays, you want to watch Solly's entire round, that is all on our YouTube channel as well. So go enjoy that. Lots to watch there. Lots coming too. There's a lot more coming. How did I get all this speed? Well, I went to TPI. We've got a whole video on that going on. Cody's playing some exceptional golf right now. We're transforming his body. That is coming out in a TPI video. We've got the NOU Club Championship is just around the corner. That's going to be a content bonanza. We've got all kinds of shit coming up. It's going to be a very fun next couple weeks.
Tell us about the Nest Pod this week, TC.
Amen. Well, wanted to talk to Lauren, but I knew Lauren wouldn't tell me a lot of this stuff or be really humble. At Lauren Coughlin, of course, after her multiple wins here in the last month and a half. So I called up John Pond, her husband, who has been caddying out on the LPGA Tour, quit his job beginning of the year to go out there and be with Lauren full-time on tour and caddying for another player and kind of apprenticing and learning how to be a caddy out there, and just kind of went through her whole career with him. So it was shades of the Max pods that we've done, especially the one, was that 2018 or 2019 with him. And I think too often when people have success and you get that win, or you get that, you've finally made it, all that struggle or all those valleys seem kind of romanticized, or, some of the rough edges get taken off of them and there's a little bit more sheen on it. And so I think with John, and especially on the ladies' side, the margins are so much thinner. Like being broke on the Symetra Tour is a lot different than being broke on the Korn Ferry Tour. Even the money is about 1/5, if that. And so just listening to John talk about the various low points before we met Lauren, after we met Lauren, some stuff that I didn't even know about since we've met her and everything. So yeah, we just went through her entire career, and it was one of the most kind of eye-opening things I think I've done in a long time. So yeah, and props to John for being extremely well-spoken and thoughtful, but also, vulnerable through it all as well. And again, all credit to Lauren. Like, her story is truly remarkable, and she was getting ready to like quit the game. And, this 4 or 5 years ago, and progress is so incremental and slow, and it's sometimes hidden that, you don't know whether you're actually getting better or not. For her, it was just immense amount of self-belief and support. So go watch
that podcast is available
for that.
Nest members, you can join the Nest at nolayingup.com/join. That is our membership platform. If you are not, there's a lot of great offerings in there, discounts on merchandise, access to events, all kinds of great offerings. nolayingup.com/join to check that out and access that podcast as well. We have some writing up on the site. I wrote about Joey Votto this past week. Big Randy did a G&T about being a dog owner as well this past week. KVV did a Victor Hovland podcast this past week, just kind of piggybacking off the narrative that he wrote back in May around the PGA around Hovland. It was great working as an audio piece as well. That should be in your podcast feed. Hopefully you got a chance to check that out. And just had to work this in. Anytime you get a tweet from Ryan Nannies at Celebrity Hot Tub asking a question for the pod, does Florida move on from Billy Napier before the cocktail party, or do they make him deal with that? Is a question I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer.
This is probably a question for Jordan.
I would say he's not.
She wants to pop in.
They should move on.
Absolutely. Goodbye.
It's not great. It's not working out great. For
What a
Billy Napier.
debacle.
Shout out to the OG Ryan Nanny. He's an old idol of ours. So that's going to do it for the PGA Tour season.
What a season it was, Sally.
More of a question mark ending than it was an exclamation point, I think. But we'll have Solheim Cup and President's Cup coming up in terms of live shows, happy hours, and all of that. And then that's a wrap on live stuff for us throughout the year. We'll also continue our normal cadence of podcasts, of course, throughout the course of the year on Tuesdays and Sundays, just not as much of a live aspect. Hey, Ranu has one.
We'll be back in a couple weeks live. I don't know what Sully's talking about. We got Solheim Cup coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be phenomenal.
I literally
watching this putt here. I'm so in the zone on LPGA.
So Hey Ranu won after shooting 78 on Saturday.
Yes,
she shot
she just
16 shots worse on Saturday than she did on Friday, and then she came back and shot 14 shots better on Sunday. That's insane. Truly.
Kind of handed it to her by Jin Young Ko here. Did not play 18, what they played in the playoff very well, but yeah.
Solly, also, we got Omega European Masters this week over on the DP World Tour over in Switzerland. Some coffee golf there. Following week, we have Irish Open from Royal County Down. We go to BMW PGA at Wentworth. And we'll have a fun no Sunday recap pod next week because there's not really any PGA Tour golf, but we'll have a fun stand-in episode that I'm looking forward to.
That's great. And as I mentioned, and as Cody mentioned, we will be live for the Solheim Cup after every round and the President's Cup after every round as well. So that's going to be a wrap. Thank you to High Noon. Thank you to Titleist. Thank you to Serve Pro. Thank you to Foresight. Thank you to Cody, Jordan, DJ, Pi, TC, everybody listening live, everybody listening in your cars. Crack on and cheers.